Hello everyone, welcome to another ISMONO podcast. And this episode is maybe a little bit clickbaity, but I'm quitting. Not my channel, but rather this podcast. And I'm not quitting really. I'm probably going on in hiatus. I just finished recording the episode with Kevin from Pack and Rome, and that was such a fun episode. Overall, I do love making these podcast episodes. It's such a good time talking to all of these people. But at the time of this recording, 2 weeks ago, I uploaded the episode with John from Unpacked. And coincidentally, at the same time, Aaron from Nomads Nation also uploaded a podcast episode, also with John from Unpacked. And that was, to me, a very good A and B testing. And I noticed that Aaron's podcast episodes overall get so many more views. And it's with these podcast episodes, it's obviously not about views and listeners, but seeing such a big difference between his video's reception, or that podcast episode's reception in terms of views, and my podcast episodes, which usually get around 200 to sometimes 1,000 views, but that's very rare. Usually I get around 200 to 400 views, I would say. Was very eye-opening. I have been uploading these podcast episodes every 2 weeks for, let me just check real quick podcast. So on YouTube, I have been, so before this, let me just, I want to see my channel. Hold on, sorry about this. Sorry, man. Let's go to my channel, YouTube. Go to my channel, view channel, then podcasts. So on YouTube, the very first one was a year ago, but before that, I always uploaded to Podbean, to audio only, and I've done that also for a very long time. Let me check. I should have been a little bit better prepared, but let's go to my Podbean. So there are 63 episodes, and I have been doing this for every 2 weeks. And the first episode, I don't know when it was. I cannot go that far. Anyways, 63 episodes that were audio only every 2 weeks, and on YouTube with the video version every 2 weeks since a year ago. So a lot of episodes, and as far as I can tell, there aren't that many bag-related podcasts on this bag enthusiast niche that have been every 2 weeks, as far as I can tell. Maybe I'm wrong. And if I am, and if I don't know about those podcasts, I'm obviously really, really sorry. Anyways, so I have been doing this for quite a long time, and it is a lot of fun. But also, it is a lot of work. Scheduling is always difficult because I am in Germany. Everyone else is either in the US or in Australia, sometimes in Asia. And scheduling is very difficult. Then, although I don't edit these podcast episodes, I do post-processing. I have to include some logos, music, and stuff like that. So that still is some work that I have to put into the videos. Then, more importantly, there are also costs. I have to pay for Riverside, which is the software that I use to record these podcast episodes. Then I pay Podbean to publish my audio-only podcast to Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and all of that. There are free versions, but back then I decided to do that on Podbean. That is a paid service. So there are some costs involved just to make these episodes. and also the work. And although it is so much fun, it was very, discouraging to see that there isn't any growth in my podcast. I do know these people, or all of you who watch and listen to this podcast regularly. Again, there are 200 views, so I assume that at least there are 200 people listening to these podcasts on regularly. I'm so thankful for all of you, and I don't. Yeah, I'm just very thankful for all of you. But seeing the huge difference in views and comments and between Aaron's podcast and my podcast was very discouraging, to be quite honest. And I'm kind of struggling to find the right word, but I don't want to really quit these podcasts because it is still so much fun to me to do this. But I think I need to do a small little hiatus for a couple of months, maybe only a couple of weeks, and stop this 2-week upload schedule and kind of see where I want to go with this podcast, maybe do some research and some questionnaires, some polls to all of you to kind of see what you maybe want to see in the future with these podcasts, what I maybe want to do in the future. Maybe I do live streaming, and because that wouldn't involve editing afterwards, and maybe I don't need Riverside then, but then I wouldn't have any guests. So what's so fun about this podcast is talking to other creators, to other people, to brands and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm honestly just not sure. I was just very discouraged, and I'm not, Aaron, I consider Aaron a friend, and I have been on his podcast so many times. It is so much fun talking to him. So I totally understand. He's doing a much better job with these podcasts than I do, which is quite visible just by how many people watch his podcast, and he's doing a much better job. So I'm not criticizing anything that he's doing. I'm criticizing my work, actually. And as I said, I have been doing this for such a long time on a regular basis, and this podcast wasn't able to grow. And that was discouraging. And seeing that other podcasts are much more successful in a much shorter time was the point that has discouraged me a little bit. Again, I love doing these podcasts. It is so much fun, but I think I need to do a small, short hiatus before deciding what to do next with these podcasts, because I don't want to quit these because I like talking to other people, to other creators. I just don't know how to do it in the future. If instead of doing it every 2 weeks, maybe I just do it once a month or something like that, to take out some of the pressure. And maybe I've done too many. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe you aren't that interested in listening to me and to either of my guests, or listening. Maybe it's about the topic. Maybe bag podcasts aren't that interesting. But then on the other side, Aaron's podcasts are working quite well. He has the similar topics. So I don't know. I honestly don't know where to go with these podcasts because, as I said, it's so much work. I put money into making these podcasts and it just doesn't grow. So yeah, I'm taking a short hiatus doing these podcasts. Please comment below what you would love to see with these podcasts in the future. Or maybe you say, yeah, that's a good choice. It's not adding that much to the space. Maybe that's a totally valid constructive criticism. if you want to have some more podcasts in the future from me, what would you love to hear about in the future? Maybe you say like, oh, I want to hear some more podcasts, but maybe in a totally different topic. Or maybe you have something for these back podcasts. Maybe you want something more specific, because up to now I was more concentrating in my mind what's my guest about, who is this guest, what does he or she like, or if it's a podcast with a brand, I always try to find out more about that person to kind of see how that influenced the design of what they are doing. Maybe that is something that you are interested in at all, and you want me to have these podcasts more product specific. And I don't know, let me know in the comment section below. I would really love to know what you think about these podcasts that I have been doing in the past. If you think I should continue doing these in the future after I've done the hiatus, if I do so, if I continue these podcasts, what you want these podcasts to be about, and how would you think they would be more interesting in the future to kind of attract more listeners? Yeah, let me know in the comment section below. As I said, I honestly don't want to quit these podcasts because to me they are fun, but yeah, it's a little bit discouraging that I put so much work into these podcasts and they don't really grow, and they don't kind of attract more listeners, more viewers. Yeah, small hiatus, maybe long hiatus, I don't know, but I don't want to quit these. I just need to take a step back. All right, looking forward to read your comments. Usually I would say I see you in the next episode. Yeah, let's say that. I will see you in the next episode. I don't know when this is going to be, but hopefully soon. All right, thank you all for listening all the way to this episode, and looking forward to your comments. Thank you very much.